So work-wise, she says she's still looking for a job after completing her bachelor's degree in English literature. So maybe someone here can maybe help her out with that. Hobbies are cooking, Netflix binging, I think we can all relate to that, and taking care of her dog. Favorite restaurant is simply anything that uses locally sourced food. Favorite book is A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. Read that, she's a really good book. And something you don't know about her is that as a small child, she would coerce her friends to say swear or curse words. So, shame on you. All right, let's welcome Stacy.
So nice to see all your smiling faces today. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and it's kind of a downer story, but that's life, and I think that's part of why I'm here. So the story I'm going to tell you really speaks to why I think that Oasis communities, communities like this should exist. I grew up in a big Catholic family. I had lots and lots of cousins, and they sort of organized themselves into cliques based on age and gender, of course. So I ended up becoming really good friends with my cousin Megan. She was about a year and a half older than me, and we lived close enough to each other that we could visit each other really regularly. And in middle school, we became best friends. We were constantly organizing little events to do together, and combined our friend circles. She was my best friend in every sense of the word. Shortly after her 18th birthday, she committed suicide. I was, I was 16, and I was already a non-believer. This isn't a story about I lost my faith because my best friend died. I was already a non-believer at that point. But obviously, like I told you, my family was Catholic, and you know, following her death, all the rituals and everything came after that. I gave a eulogy to about 1,000 people in a huge Roman Catholic church. I participated in half a dozen Christian memorial services in her honor, and my family was constantly, you know, their way of coping was, you know, telling me that God had chosen to take her at this time, that it was her time to go to heaven, that she was in a better place. But I didn't believe any of that. I was angry at the rituals and the prayers and everything that I didn't believe. I felt like none of these people knew about Megan's religious doubts like I did. None of these people knew the shame she felt for being sexually active like I did. I was possessive of her after her death. She was my best friend. She was dead. She was not in the afterlife. She was a pile of ashes, and she was gone. I was isolated and trapped. I didn't have close friends in school, and when people found out what happened, they tended to be aloof. My father was religious and distant. He didn't talk about it. He was angry at her, I think. My mother was religious and hysterical. She couldn't talk about it without, you know, breaking down completely. I talked to my school counselor, and he was kind, but he couldn't really offer me anything. There wasn't a program for me. I just was dealing with it by myself. A lot of my family members, including Megan's parents, joined a suicide victim support group called LOSS. It's a Roman Catholic group, and it helped them a lot, and every year my family does a fundraising organizer in Megan's honor for this group, which is wonderful for them, and I'm glad that they have that, but it doesn't work for me. You know, they talk about faith, but I didn't have faith. And so I didn't understand how I was supposed to go on living when the most important person in my life was gone. So basically I was in a dark place, as you can tell. I was a teenager, I was angsty, everything was all wrong. And I definitely started engaging in escapist risky kind of behaviors. And I'm not going to go into details, but it wasn't good. But very luckily for me, about 4 months after she died, I met my husband, Andrew, and he allowed me to see a path forward, and I'm forever grateful that I met him. But I always think, you know, what if I hadn't met this person that allowed me to push through that difficult time in my life? Where, you know, who would have helped me? There was a support structure in place for me that my family, you know, a lot of my family took advantage of, but it wasn't the right support structure for me. I couldn't relate to it, I couldn't believe it, I couldn't be a part of it, and it couldn't give me what I needed. And I know that no one should have to face tragedy alone. I know that we are stronger together, which is why I believe that communities like this are so important. I want them to grow so that people can find and reach out to the people that can help them. And you know, the stronger, the bigger, the more we grow, the more we really change the culture of our society, the easier it will be for young people like myself and older people who need a change to find people to help them.